Welcome back to the 5th episode of the Let's Play series of Planet Coaster. My name is Dan, and you just sit back and let me do the work for the next 20 minutes. Today is actually a very big episode, because in this episode I will be finishing the entire coaster of Beowulf. So I'm actually very excited to show you this. But before I get to the normal commentary and just talking you through what I'm doing, I want to first tell you that this series is going to be uploaded every Tuesday from now on. We want actually it to be Tuesday morning today. That didn't quite work because, well, I thought we agreed on Wednesday. Not by anyone else's fault except mine. But that's the thing. So if you want to see more on this, just check our channel out every Tuesday evening and there should be a new video up online. And then I actually want to thank two people who have been really supportive in the comments, and those two people are Play Koala and Super Dino Asa, I think you should pronounce it. And well, I just want to give a big shout out to them because it's just so nice to be doing this and then seeing such nice and supportive comments under the videos. But with all that being done, now it's time to actually get to the building commentary. So well, you could have seen me right there. Oh my god, I'm already so far behind. First of all, I was focusing on the backstage areas because, well, that was something that was really desperately needed, and also dragons, because, well, a coaster themed around a dragon without a dragon isn't really a dragon themed coaster. So I downloaded some dragons from Steam Workshop, and then I wanted to make some fire, but of course fire is quite expensive. In the way that, you know, you have like this gas cloud, and, well, you know, gas just costs quite a little bit of money, and how most major theme parks solve this is by colored mist. And actually this works really well on Planet Coaster too. So, well, it was just the solution was already cut out for me. So everywhere where I wanted to use fire, you know, there's a dragon sitting on top of the castle, I want to set an entire tower ablaze, I just grab colored mist, and, well, it works pretty flawlessly. So this side of the coaster still felt a little empty, so I decided to put a lot of greenery in here, because, well, I didn't want to like cloud, or that's not the way to say it, I didn't want to obstruct the view from the coaster with any buildings, so I just placed some foliage and some light little bit of trees so that you could still see the coaster and the castle through them. And then of course the village was still looking kind of dark, so I placed lights. As you can see, it's very fast paced. I'm having trouble keeping up with my commentary, but that's because this was actually, as I may have already said, I'm not sure anymore, this was 6 hours of footage compressed into 20 minutes. So there's a lot that has happened. Also, I will link the workshop item of the dragon and the stained glass and the fence I used in the backstage areas in the description for you guys to download them, because, well, they're awesome. And the fence, I've used them so many times now. I mean, it's a lifesaver for realistic backstage areas. But as you can see, of course, the stables needed a little, well, more castle-y, I would say, castle-y approach. And of course we have like this weird mid-section between the halls and the stable, in which I actually didn't theme anything because, well, if you look at the on-ride, which I will not be posting today, it will be coming next week. But if you look at the on-ride, there's actually, it doesn't look weird at all. So I didn't really have to theme anything there, which was actually really nice. So as you can see here, of course, the castle itself also needed a little bit of backstage magic. As you know, like the fence, it's gonna use some air conditioning units in a second, and just some chimneys, you know, just to make it like, if you fly over it, make it look a little bit like, oh yeah, okay, there's a little bit of realism to it. And then actually, not only did I finish the entire coaster, but I was also not satisfied with the way the restaurant looked on the other side of the river, and I decided to make like a little plaza in which you can overlook the river, which will house the water show. It just felt a little bit nicer, a little bit more spacious, and a little bit, well, not as out of place as it was. It was more like there was only a single walkway around, and it was like a little bit too cramped, and it just didn't feel quite right. So I quickly made this little plaza, and it looks 100 times better. So I'm personally really pleased. So well, this episode is so much all over the place. Like, I'm a bit worn out because of university. It's like the last 3 weeks before their summer vacation, and well, that seems to have been like the start sign for everyone to just start giving assignments left, right, and center. So it's really stressful. So every time I felt overwhelmed, I just was like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna play some Planet Coaster, and then, you know, every time it was like I was playing, but then I felt like doing something else, and then I felt like doing the backstage area, then I felt like doing some work on the village, and that's why it's very much all over the place, this episode. But I mean, I finished the entire thing in a single episode, so hooray for me, I guess. hooray for stress. So of course the backstage areas were not finished yet. As you can see here, I'm now building up a little office area. I was not really I didn't feel like making another bland building like the one on the left right now, so this one will have a little bit more windows, less vents. It's more built like to be an office area, as I said. So the backstage area did feel a little bit empty and grey, so I decided to add like some trees around it to have a little bit of greenery. And of course I made the building mistake. I didn't even think you saw it. Oh yeah, okay, you can. Of having the roof all the way through visible on the other outside. But here I needed like a little bit of a closing building to hide the backstage area from the rest of the park. Also, this building will house the gate to the to the backstage areas for employees. So with all that done, I decided to work on the inner plaza with the queue. And I first thought, let's do them with those Gothic arches they give with you in the game, because they fit really well. But they have a big problem, and that is that they stick out on the back of the wall, which is really ugly. I thought I would get around it, but I couldn't deal with it, and so I eventually deleted them. But that will be in a few minutes. But first I was actually building the last buildings of the village, because, well, this still looked a little bit unfinished if you ask me. So to try and give the building a little bit more of an original shape here, I was trying to, do some things with the roof, which is why I have like this little bit of a slanted roof. I was really worried that like having these buildings not be too tall as they are now, it might give park guests a view of the back of the wall. You can see the castle wall behind the buildings, but apparently if you position the cam on the ground at about the eye level of park guests, that is actually not the case. So I wasn't bothered by it in the end. And so the very last building of the village is being worked on now. When this is done, actually the village is done. I think the castle is then done. I only need some special effect timings, and I think, and that would. Oh, and of course the exit path needed a little bit of love as well. It looked a little bit empty, just a single path through. Well, even some foliage that didn't really get that much love. So yeah, that was kind of overdue. And anyways, we'll get to that in a second. We're still building, of course, the village. Now I felt like there was a little bit missing, and so I decided to put in a little balcony on this building to kind of, well, not break up the wall, because the wall was already quite broken up, but more like add something more to look at, I guess. Since, well, it was all just very much white walls with windows and wooden details. So as I said, I was gonna remove all the arches I placed in earlier, and actually I didn't ever replace them because I felt like actually the castle was about fine. Like it looks a little bit empty and, well, bland from the top, but if you're in the queue, I don't know, it works for some reason. And just as like a little thing, I added like a guard on top of a tower, just for lols. And then of course I had to make one final show building, or backstage area, for the hall which Beowulf will come out of. Which of course also needed some love with all the fans and the air conditioning units. Just a little bit of foliage left. Of course, as I said, the exit path deserves some love still. I felt like I didn't know what to put in here. I also experimented with like flat rides, but they were all way too big for this place. So I thought, let's make a little picnic area in here. But the ground was a little bit too steep for picnic tables, so eventually I decided to put in just a little food stall that was like built into the wall of the kingdom. You have like these Well, I always picture them as like the little houses built on the wall of Ba Sing Se in Avatar. You know, the Last Airbender Avatar. There's like in like the major city in the Earth Kingdom, there's like these houses, and they're built like against the wall, and I kind of took that as an inspiration for this. But of course this is much less elaborate, since, you know, the wall's like a millionth the size of the wall in the series. So I basically was just placing trees because I did not have any idea what to do with that blank castle wall. Else I would have probably made something of it, but I was just thinking, and I was completely like if you look up castles online, the walls are blank, they're empty. Like, and just, yeah, I kinda hated it. Because, you know, it's a castle, it's so empty, but like in your head it should be so decorative, and just, so I didn't really know what to do there. So eventually I just opted to place some trees to just hide the wall altogether. We've got a lot done in this episode. We really have. Just a little bit, the last little bits of ground painting, and then there's an overview. That's the coaster. Just, it's been a lot of work. It has been a lot of work, but well, it's done. Expect next week's episode to be a POV and cinematic overview. And thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.